Welcome to Maud's Book Club. I'm so excited to have all my favorite authors on so I can pick their brains about all the amazing books that I've consumed and they have written. Today's guest is a Insta-buy author for me, Carissa Broadbent. You have written two series that I'm making my way through. The first being The Crowns of Nyaxia and the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, which I'm so excited to say happy launch day. For this one.
Thank you.
This
I
one's coming
know.
out today, December 9. Carissa, thank you so much for being on the show. How excited is it to be able to celebrate the launch in real time?
It is very exciting, especially because it's been a heck of a year. I've had four releases this year because I've had a number of, re-releases. Um, so I actually forgot until I woke up this morning and my assistant was like, "Hey, have you done that release day post?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's today."
That's today.
So it feels extra special to be able to celebrate it with you in real time.
Four books in 1 year. Now I know that some of these are just like new re-releases, but you have
Yes.
had the most stacked 5 years looking at all the books that you've written and the releases of them all. How's mental health going? Because you're churning.
I'm tired, man. I'm
Yeah.
tired. No, things probably will slow down a little bit, slow down meaning like a book a year or so. That sounds like a nice pace, in traditional publishing.
A
But
book a year is
I also
still
come from
incredible.
I come from the world of indie publishing, where at least when I was coming up in the world of independent publishing, this has changed a bit, but at the time, the name of the game was rapid releasing. Like there were people who were like, if you're releasing less than four books a year, like forget it, you're not going to make it in this business. And I never got up to that. I think the most I did three books in 1 year once, um, but one was a novella, so doesn't really
Still.
count. But
Yes, it does. It counts. Especially because they're good novellas as well.
oh, thank you, thank you.
And I love that. Oh my gosh, I've got so many questions. I'm going to bounce around everywhere. Um, let's kick it off with the fact that we are re-releasing the Children of Fallen Gods, book number two in the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. That was the first series that you wrote. How did this all come about?
So the War of Lost Hearts series was actually not the first series that I wrote. I wrote three books before that and self-published them, independently published them. I get asked about them pretty frequently because, Goodreads is forever. It's like you can never remove anything from Goodreads. It's just all there, like random things that you wrote a bazillion years ago. They're bad. No one should read them. They're not very good. Um, but yeah, I wrote Daughter of No Worlds, which is the first book in that trilogy. I always talk about how it's a really meaningful book to me because it's potentially the only time I think I probably will never have this experience again in my entire life, which is a little depressing to think about. I wrote it with no expectation. I wrote it because like the characters were really meaningful to me and I was really passionate about the story. I had no plan for it. I started a new writing group and I thought, "Oh, I should have a new story to share with this writing group instead of like starting with the third book in a series or something." And it was just very fun and meaningful. And yeah, yep, that's the one. That's my baby. Um, and as an author, I'm super grateful every day that I get to do this job. So this is like, champagne problems and everything. But once it becomes your job and once you have, readers and editors and publishers and all these, there's a lot of considerations in your head beyond just the story that you're writing every time you sit down to write. Um, and Daughter of No Worlds was very much maybe the only experience I'll ever have where it was not that. It was just, me.
And it's interesting because you were saying that the lead characters, Tasana and Max Antarius, which is one of the best names in a book I've ever read. I want to know where you came up with that fantastic name as well. But you poured the most of yourself into both of those characters.
I would say so. There's some
Mm.
degree of myself in every character that I write, and I'd say none of them are like very much like me. None of them are directly based on me. And I kind of did it unintentionally. I remember once saying to my writing group, um, do you guys think like I don't think that my characters are like me? And they were like, you wrote like a workaholic and like a super socially anxious guy. Like, yeah, they're you. So it was unintentional.
Would you say that writing with a writing group was exponentially helpful as a writer for a process?
I for this book, yeah, it was really fun, and it was very creatively fulfilling because it was like, so the structure of this particular writing group, no one was like, most people were kind of writing their first book. It was just a handful of us, kind of a strange group of people, actually. It was like my brother and like my husband's best friend and like my ex-boyfriend and like just like a weird, like a strange group of people. And there were like five of us. So it was a small enough number that the way we would do it is we would like bring like 10 pages and like we'd read it like aloud, and then we'd like talk about it and then like move on to the next person, whatever, and like eat pizza and and it was very relaxed and fun, but it was so inspiring to be able to like have these people who were like kind of just along for the ride the whole time and like reading the book along with you like chapter by chapter. It was really fun, and we kind of fell apart, honestly before COVID, but definitely during COVID, and never really, everyone got busy, and I have kids now and everyone's got jobs and stuff, so we never got back to it, but it was a lot of fun.
Having a sort of immediate family and a significant other at the time reading your stuff, is that a very vulnerable feeling?
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was like um it was and it was my ex-boyfriend. It wasn't even like my current
The
fiance.
ex, the other.
Yeah, like my ex. That's like shocking to some people, but we dated a very, very long time ago. It wasn't really. I think it was because it was just so relaxed, and everybody was so like in different stages of like kind of what they wanted to do with writing as a hobby or as a career or whatever. Um, so no one really felt, at least I never did, felt judged or anything.
Hold on. Where is everyone? Because I just think it's so exciting to have all like, immediate people around you, all writers. Like that's a gold mine in itself, right there. Where's everyone else now on their writing journey now that you're a full-time writer out of all of this?
So, my brother doesn't really write anymore. A couple of them don't really do much writing or do a little bit as like a hobby. One of them has self-published a few books. He's a mystery writer, and he has a new, like, not new at this point. It's been like 5 years, but we joke like he has his new like cooler friends. He has like a mystery writer group. I have great admiration for mystery writers. I feel like they're working on hard mode there. And like,
I mean, the
you know,
genre says it. You have to have a sense of mystery, and every single time you write, there needs to be mystery. Like that, you have to dig deep for that.
you have to like solve problems and stuff. Like, man.
No, we just want to
Um,
write unrealistic men, finally, that we can like indulge in.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. And then one of them is a editor, and I hope that he gets back into writing, hopefully.
I love
So
that.
people have kept with it. Yeah.
And you're the success story. I'm going to toot your horn for you on that one.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's talk about Max Antarius because this is a fantastic character. The reluctant, not even hero in a way, but the reluctance that seeps out of him, I really loved. I've only just read the first book in the series, but I really loved the dichotomy between these two characters, Tasana and Max Antarius. They are vastly different people. And what I love about your books is that you don't throw two people together just because they're hot for each other. You throw two people together who start seeing them for who they really are and falling in love with their uniqueness and like that desire to be really truly seen and still loved is something that I love as a romantasy reader. Why was that so important for you to build this, I think, unique partnership?
Oh, thank you. That's very high praise because that is um, exactly what I set out to do. Like I feel like my books are always labeled as slow burns, and I feel like they're always going to be a slow burn just because like I can't. I feel like so much of the relationship comes from building that emotional connection, and so much of the payoff, like the physical payoff, is comes from that emotional connection too, like for me. I mean, never say never. Like maybe I'll write this great friends with benefits romance that's super steamy or something one day, but
Where the feelings come in
um,
unexpectedly and it's like, oh, darn it, I think I like
I,
them.
I know, I know. But yeah, every couple that I write, um, every book that I write, one of the first things that I come up with is the theme. So it's kind of like, what am I even trying to explore with this book? And with Max and Tasana in particular, these two characters really, they came to me very fully formed. Um, and it was because I was kind of grappling at the time with this question that I still don't know how to answer. Every book I write, it's like I'm trying to grapple with some kind of a question that I don't have the answer to. And I was struggling with, you know, the world being shitty, essentially. And the world is shitty. And kind of mentally trying to wrap my head around, like, is it better, quote unquote, to be a part of a flawed system and like therefore kind of be morally compromised, right? Because you're part of this morally compromised system, but try to do good from within that? Or is it quote unquote better to not participate in any kind of a morally compromised system at all? But as a result, you are doing nothing, right?
Mm.
Because you can't, like, everything is morally compromised, therefore you can have no effect on anything. And those two characters came to me as embodiments, basically, of those two philosophies, right? These two extremes, where you have Tisana, who is just gonna play the game, because she feels like that's the only choice she has. And she never questions the game, even if she knows that it's bad, that it's
Flawed.
flawed
Yeah.
in so many ways. And then you have Max, who, was a part of everything with catastrophic consequences. And so he's like, well, there is no moral choice. So I'm just going to do nothing and
Yeah.
remove myself completely. And completely fails to see like the level of privilege, in that stance.
Mm.
Um, and they just kind of bloomed from that. And then kind of the more organic aspects of their personality just kind of, they were one of the easiest couples that I've ever written. They just really just showed up in my head.
I feel like they were so tangible as well, and I want to talk about sort of their appearance in a way. I did a little digging, and the internet has decided that Max Antarius is Manny Jacinto, and I've never
Ooh.
seen anything or felt anything more perfect, and now I want and need that immediately.
I would love that. I always imagined him. I very rarely imagine specific. I almost imagine my characters almost as like animated characters,
I
where
do
it's
the
like I
same
see their
thing.
features, but I don't see like a specific human. But I did always imagine Max as Daniel Henney. The
I have to look
he
this
is
up.
I think he's um a Korean actor. He was
Oh,
in the
he's
Wheel of Time.
gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. He's beautiful. He has probably aged out of the role. I think that Manny Jacinto would be a fabulous choice. He is a beautiful man. Manny
He's
Jacinto was like not famous yet when I was writing the book. So if he was, he would have been up there for sure.
Max is just the gift that keeps giving, really.
I
I also
agree.
I want to talk about Tasana as well. She has vitiligo.
Yes.
Why was that important to have that sort of representation in her? Because her features are so stunning. She's got two contrasting eye colors, two contrasting skin colors as well. How did you come about with that?
It was really so actually, I doodled her when I was at my day job. I still have it somewhere, the paper. I doodled her and I just like drew her knowing nothing about her and just like the the character just kind of stuck with me and her being, what in her world they call fragmented. That was always pretty key to her character for me because it also represents, on like a metaphorical level, it represents, her kind of being caught in between so many things, but also literally, in her world. Like she's a magic user, but kind of like not really, giant air quotes, from like in the perspective of the incorrect perspective of the people around her who view her as lesser, because of this. Um, and you see that kind of echoed throughout her story in so many different ways. That's why it always was kind of a key part of her character to me.
Going to be a lot harder to cast, but I really respect that.
I know. That's why I don't do I don't do
Yes.
fan casts for a lot of reasons. First of all, because people take them very seriously, I've noticed, like, which I don't take them seriously. You know, if I say like, "Oh, I imagine this character," it could be kind of like a, this type of person. People get like really
That's not
like,
how I saw
"Oh,
your character. This is
yes,
my
yeah,
version of your
exactly." They'll
character.
get,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm not. You can imagine them however you want. Like, I am not
No
going to
wrong
step into your
answers.
fantasies and rip anything out of there. But her in particular, yes, that would be very difficult to cast.
Is that because you saw Rain as Jason Momoa?
I do see Rain as Jason Momoa, and people got really upset about it.
Because he was like sort of more burly. And Jason Momoa,
Yes,
he's Samoan? Or Maori?
I, I, I think Jason. I'm not. I
He's
think he
an
is.
islander. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he's. I
and
think he's
it's like
Samoan, isn't he?
I very much saw Rain as a lot more sort of clean cut, but when you're describing him, you're like, he's not pretty. And I'm like, my brain defaults to pretty.
That's the thing. Like I was actually shocked that this was so shocking to people because I felt like I really tried when I described him to be like he's like a burly guy, like a big,
Hairy,
like
burly.
hairy, burly guy,
Yeah.
Like his nose looks like it's been broken a couple of times. Like he's got some, yeah. But people would be like, I imagined, well, it's always Henry Cavill, right? Like everyone always imagines Henry
I
Cavill
mean,
as all of the
Stephanie
romantic
Meyer
guys.
thought that Edward from Twilight was Henry Cavill. This guy has been the template for decades.
Really? I mean, he's a
Yeah.
very handsome man. He's handsome.
He's incredibly romantically coded. Yes.
So I actually tried, this is a confession. So one time I saw on like Twitter, back when Twitter existed and wasn't, fascist. But back on Twitter, I saw somebody back when like kind of romantasy was just starting to be like a thing. Um, Somebody was like, I just can't keep all these romantasy guys straight because in the fan art, because they all look the same. They're all like dark hair, sparkly blue eyes, tattoos, swirly tattoos, like they all look the same. And I was like, fuck, you're right, they do. And
We have
now,
collectively a type. Yeah.
yeah, I very deliberately, when I am designing a couple, I deliberately try to make it so that, particularly when they are together, like if someone sees the art of them, they're like, oh, I know who that is. Like I try to make them distinctive looking. Ideally as individuals also, but like especially as like a unit. Because that person was right. There were a lot of like romantic couples that kind of look the same.
But don't you think it's wild that like there's a bias with a lot of romantasy readers where it's like if the guy is blonde, I'm out, and you're just like, what did blonde guys do to everyone to hurt them
I
so much?
know, I
And
know.
I think I'm one of them. My brother's blonde, so it's like I don't need that in my life, in my books. But I've noticed that there is a rise at the moment of white-haired men. And we're about to step in that with an upcoming book. Are we not?
Yeah, yes, white, and he is also blonde, like white or like fair blonde, sort of. Yes,
I see.
I have been watching like the disdain for the blonde haired like MMCs and being like, I I'm gonna work hard, guys. We're gonna work hard.
I see. So I don't know if this has been like fully announced. I'm guessing so because the book is out next year. I'm talking about The Line and the Deathless Dark. We are going into, and now I have to pull back the whole layers on the Crowns of Nyaxia series. 6 books in total. 4 of them are currently out. There are 3 sets of duets in the books, each following a different sort of, I guess, house and couple. So for those playing at home, the first one is the Nightborn duet with the Serpent and the Wings of Night and the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and that follows Aurea and Rain. And then it moves into Misha and Asar with the Songbird and the Heartstone and the Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, which only came out in August of this year.
Yes.
How has the
Yep.
reception and all of that been to finish the Shadowborn duet?
It's so I don't look at reviews, so I don't know. I hope people liked it. I I I The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, I think, is, ooh, this is hard to say. I was about to say favorite, but it's hard because you get like different favorite children.
Mm.
Oh, right now, The Lion and the Deathless Dark is kind of my favorite. That's the one that's coming out in August. I'm working on copy edits for that one right now. So it's finished, like finished. Um, but I really loved the Shadowborn duet followed Misha and Asar, and they were just like, I don't know. I think it's my most romantic book. Like Fallen, I think is my most romantic book, and it's also very epic fantasy, which is what I really enjoy writing. Um, and this was another book. Fallen was another book that I wrote kind of while I was like really mentally struggling with like the state of the world and whatnot, and writing a character like Misha, who is this very,
She's
you
sunshine.
know, she's sunshine, she's not this like quote unquote badass, like, hard and cynical person. She's really trusting and loving, and she maintains that, through the books. And that was really meaningful for me to write. So I
Oh,
really
she
loved
got
those
to
books.
anchor you and bring you back to a good place.
Exactly. It's
Oh,
like I
that's
was
nice.
trying to mentally answer the question of like how, because I consider myself to be an optimistic person. But it's hard. It's hard to be optimistic. And sometimes it feels almost wrong because there is so objectively so much horrific human suffering happening in the world. And I was struggling with this question of like, well, how can you justify continuing to be an optimist and continuing to believe in like this inherent goodness in people when you have so much evidence to the contrary? Um, and that was ultimately like the theme of the book. That was also the question she was trying to answer. Um, so yeah, I loved it.
I feel like hope has to be a driving force of your waking day, personally. Because without hope, what's the point?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a healthy dose of cynicism, don't get me wrong, but like at the same time, I truly believe that hope is the most important thing that we can carry.
I agree. I agree. And so I have a small child, a 2-year old. And I think especially, I mean, I think this is true for all people, but like especially when you have small children in your life and children that you care about, and you're thinking like, what kind of a world are we trying to like create, for this next generation of people? It's, I think you have to hang on to it because the alternative is just too depressing.
I would also argue, and I had this conversation with like random stranger who really got me out of a bout of cynicism that I was bathing in, and that was that they had a 5-year-old, and they were noticing how their young child had a childlike wonder and awe. They were experiencing everything for the first time, and everything was so exciting because of that. And so vicariously got to also wear that childlike wonder. And that's also like a cure in a way as well, where it's like we're so used to doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, you've written so many books that when you've written another book, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, but I've got to get to the next deadline. I've got to do the next thing. We kind of like need that check of life is so great. How cool is this? And awe needs to be sort of like a default in our lives again. And you got a cat.
I sorry to distract you. My cat, he's not usually a counter surfer. And I'm like, I'm on my island, like my kitchen island. So I'm like tall up. And I don't know if, so for folks who are not seeing, he's not very aerodynamic. I mean, look at him. He's
It,
got a lot to work
you
with.
pulled him off and he's just had like 7 chins.
Yeah, he's a big boy. So he worked really hard to get up here to say hi to you guys.
Oh,
I'm surprised because he doesn't normally do this.
what's
But
his
I'll
name?
Calcifer,
Oh,
like the fire demon from Howl's Moving Castle.
which I believe is one of your favorite books of all time.
It is.
Hmm.
It is.
Great
But
name,
anyway,
Calcifer. Great character.
yeah, he's very
Is he a little?
sassy.
Is he a bit fiery?
He is a bit fiery. He is.
Hey, hey.
He's
What
also
a
very
handsome boy.
he's very affectionate. Like when my son is not around, he's like, "This is my time to shine. Like love me. Like come
Oh,
on. Like let's go." So, but yeah, like I don't know, with creatures like this in our life, and we have to remain optimistic, right? For all the calcifers in the world.
For the do it for the calcifers. I like
Do it
that.
for the calcifers.
I've got my little dog. She's abandoned me. I have a dog bed down here and it's completely empty. Her name's Zelda.
Oh,
And I called her Zelda because I rescued a princess.
oh,
It's just
I
her
love
and I.
that.
I
That's
mean, pets.
fantastic.
If you need hope and happiness, get a pet. For
I
real.
agree.
Yeah, you
Yes.
want unconditional love? Ugh, what a wonderful thing. Even coming home and having someone just something so excited to see you. Oh, best feeling
I know.
ever.
My cat is more excited to see me than my son is. Like, that's definitely true.
Well, as long as someone is, you know.
Mm.
I want to talk about the Crowns of Nyaxia. My number one question is, I actually really want to break down the names of these books. Why did you name it the Crowns of Nyaxia?
This is always a dangerous line of questioning because so many of my names are just like chaos. Um, but this one, The Crowns of Nyaxia, is because I knew from the beginning how I was going to structure the series. Kind of chaotic, I know, with the duologies, the three sets of duologies. So I knew it was going to be this great epic plot going across all three of the kingdoms, and that kind of like the fate of each kingdom was going to be wrapped up into each of those stories. So that's where the Crowns of Nyaxia comes from, because they're all of Nyaxia's kingdoms.
Got it? What about the War of Lost Hearts?
Oh, that one. So I struggled with it a little bit. Ultimately, there's a lot of lost hearts. There's a lot of war and there's a lot of lost hearts. And it becomes pretty, especially by the third book. I am not above a title call out. You know, we have we have some title call outs. It becomes like really apparent by that third book
Okay.
what we're talking about. But it's also metaphorically, a lot about a lot of lost people, which I think all war kind of is ultimately. I think if it's not in the start, it certainly becomes that. So,
I'm going to keep going through them. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. That one's a
well,
little
we have,
self-explanatory.
yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Um, the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King.
This is where we start to get a little chaotic. I Okay, so my confession is that I actually came up with all of the titles before I had written The Serpent and the Wings of Night. So none of the
What?
books were written at all. Because, especially independent authors, we often have to commission all of the covers at the same time because, like, artists get busy or, like, maybe they might retire, like, they might stop working. So a lot of us will commission all of the covers in the series at the same time, which means that you have to have all the titles, right? Which you can change them. Like I have changed some of the titles. Um, so The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. A lot of people struggle with this title. For me, it's about it. The whole book is about the aftermath of stuff, and the Star-Cursed King. I guess it actually could have been gender neutral, right? Um, that refers to Rain kind of. Ooh, I'm like about to like accidentally spoiler like huge things for folks who have not read this series.
Oh,
Um, there are many characters who are struggling with like whether it is ever possible to like hold power in a moral way, we'll say. So that's like whether it's cursed, right? It's essentially cursed to be a king or any kind of royalty.
I want the spoiler. If you haven't read the book, you've got 15 seconds to mute now. Drop me those
Okay,
spoilers.
great.
Yeah.
Um, so Rain in particular, it mostly refers to Rain, like Araya being like the ashes because she feels like completely, destroyed by everything that happened in the first book. But it refers to Rain and even Vincent, right? Um, I think Rain, again, I'm not above a title drop. I think Rain like title drops it at some point because he feels like he inherited this throne through this man who like horrifically abused him, who was this
Mm.
terrible, terrible person, and him feeling like this is like cursed, like this is always destined to curse you and make you this terrible, horrific person, like it kind of did to Vincent also. So that is what the Ashes and the Star Cursed King refers to.
Okay, for those that are waiting for a hint that you can listen again, this is your sign. We are no longer doing spoilers. You brought up Vincent, so I have to ask, did you predict the daddy effect taking over as much as it has?
I kind of did because he was like my favorite character from the get-go. And my beta readers really liked him. But he was one that I really, sometimes as an author, there are certain characters that you think are going to be like this huge hit and like everyone's like, eh. And then there are certain characters that like you don't expect that people just like absolutely fucking love. So he was one where I wasn't sure how people were going to react because he is so morally gray, like truly morally gray. And I wasn't sure to what extent people would view him as a villain in like
Villain.
Araya's. Yeah,
Villain. I found it really surprising that everyone's like, I love Vincent. I'm like, he did shit things. He's not good. Like
he is not good.
he's
He is
not
not good.
good.
Um, I mean, I love him as a character, as a
Yeah.
fictional character. I love him because he is so complicated. I feel very strongly, and this is a big theme in the War of Lost Hearts series too. It's really hard to be a good person, right? Like, how many times do we say, oh, I'm going to be like a better daughter this year. I'm going to like be, you even say, I'm going to eat my vegetables and work out every day and blah, blah. It's really hard, right? We don't do this shit. Like, it's hard. You have to like make the decision and then you have to follow through, and it's hard work and people fail. And I think in order to show characters succeeding in being a good person, you also have to show characters who try and fail.
Hmm.
And Vincent very much embodies that to me because he did love Aurea. Like he did genuinely.
Yeah, but he
But like
can't get
so
out of his
fucking
own
what?
way. He cannot get out of his own way.
He can't get
I
out of his own way.
Yeah.
Yes. I have actually outlined a Vincent book
Huh?
and I would have loved to write it, but part of the challenge with it is that he's so, man, it would just be tricky in like so many ways.
Timeline
Partly
wise?
timeline, like logistically, it would be tough because it's like from like even like a marketing perspective, you'd have to be like, oh, it's a prequel, but you can't read it before you read the first two books. You have to read it after the first two books. Like that would be confusing. But then also from like a craft perspective, Vincent he's a bad person. He's not like this inherently evil being that he's bad because he made decisions. And I feel like it would be very tricky to depict it without people thinking you're glorifying it. You know what I mean? Like it
Oh,
would just be a hard thing to pull off, especially if it was about his relationship with a certain someone um about a certain relationship.
in the next book?
No,
Oh.
I'm trying to shield spoilers again, especially if it was about um, a certain romantic relationship. I mean, it was also like an abusive relationship, right? Like, that would
Mhm.
just be a very difficult thing to write, you know?
Got it. Does your
Yeah.
brain often do that? Because you have written several novellas that can and have like that can be completely standalone, but also kind of bolster parts of the series. Does your brain often go to, oh, I could do a novella about that part, or I could expand here?
So, when I was coming up with the Crowns of Nyaxia world, I deliberately wanted to create a very, very big world with a lot of potential for expansion. Partly from like a very practical reason, which was I was a full-time author. I quit my job shortly before the third War of Lost Hearts book came out. And I was doing like pretty good, but I was not like I was very nervous about it. And so I was like, okay, I have to come up with a new series. And I wanted lots of potential for expansion if I kind of had to, especially because there's a lot of especially in independent publishing, a lot of business reasons why someone might want to have this big world that you can continue to expand. But then also for creative reasons, I thought that it would just be fun to have this huge world to play in. So some of those novellas happened actually because I had like contractual obligations, and I was like, time to think of a story.
Got it.
But they became some of my favorite of all of my books, and they also became much more important to like the main storyline than I kind of anticipated, especially Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which I truly intended to be kind of a standalone book. They are very important. It got very, very important to
Hmm.
everything else, kind of accidentally. I can't help myself.
I remember reading the first two books and then immediately wanting to consume everything else. But the most recent that I read was Six Scorched Roses, and I thought that tonally, that was so much softer. And it was just, I mean, you write vastly different characters in all of these books, and I commend you on continually being able to build out these very dimensional characters that aren't borrowed really from anyone else. They're very distinct in their own right. But I just felt like that tonally, Six Scorched Roses, uh, yes, it was in a different timeline. Yes, it can be standalone. You recognize the names of the characters as you continue to read the series. But that beautiful, sort of precious moment was almost like Beauty and the Beast with the rose under the glass, like it was preserved in its own right. Tell me about how that idea came about and why you chose to write something so different.
So, first of all, thank you.
Hmm.
I never want to feel like I am writing the same thing over and over again. And I actually think to some readers, and I don't fault them for this at all. I actually think some readers dislike this because there is a pretty significant difference in even like from, the first Nightborn, the first two Nyaxia books to Songbird and Fallen, which kind of are they're pretty different. For readers who jumped in because they were like Vampire Hunger Games, and now I'm like, all right, now we're gonna go to hell. There's like blood rivers, there's like beasts with ghosts with skull faces and
But also
magic and
Grumpy
blah blah blah.
Sunshine. Grumpy
Yeah, right. I'm like,
Sunshine.
there's gonna be sunshine too. Like, there's a really hot sex scene on an altar. Like, come on, we're just come along for the ride with me. But like, I don't fault readers for being like, oh, Vampire Hunger Games. I could do that. Maybe I'm not here for the blood rivers in the underworld or whatever. I get it. I know we're going on a wild ride, but
I would argue actually that I became so attached to these characters that I wasn't done with them. So it was like, yes, we got these two books, but I was like so infatuated by their relationship and so like I've been on that ride for so long. And because it is a 180, I was like, oh, I could just do one more book before we move on.
they are.
That's a testament to your books.
I mean, I appreciate that. I I really admire authors who are able to write like six, seven, eight books about the same couple. I would definitely have a hard time doing that, I think. That's part of why I structured the Nyaxia series as I did, because I was like, oh, I want to write like a long series, but I know myself and I know that I don't want to write more than a trilogy about one couple. I feel like we want to tell a nice tight story, but I mean, everyone remains very important. Like, everyone continues to show up, and they all get really important, especially by the grand finale, which I will be starting to draft soon.
Ooh. How
But
do you choose who becomes the next kind of couple? Because I feel like it's a passing of the baton. And there are more obvious ways, like from the Nightborn to Shadowborn, and less obvious ways with when we're coming into the Bloodborn. That was a lot
so
more subtle in a way.
yeah, well, what's kind of funny about that is that Septimus, as a love interest, he was from the start, like before I even wrote Serpent, like I knew that that was going to happen. I
Wow.
was like, I want to challenge myself and I want to do a real villain romance here where like people are like really like, how are you going to pull this one off? Which hopefully well. We'll see. I really love Lion. I had more fun writing it than I have writing a book in a long time, honestly. I
Wow.
really 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 enjoyed it.
What was it about it that made you feel that way?
I love the female protagonist, Kyrene. She is I have never written a character like her. She is she's a messy bitch, and she is she just like takes action. Like there's no she's very bold. like they're both very bold. There's no self-consciousness or like these two are just very bold people, and I've never written a couple like this before.
Yeah, because usually there's balance in the dynamics. Well, mind you, both Araya and Rain, they're pretty bold. They're pretty like formidable in their own rights. And then Misha finally brought some of the softness to it. So Kairini, she's a survivor. So she's kind of, does she have like a chip on her shoulder, something to prove?
Oh boy, does she?
Got it.
Yeah, no, she is, I would say, if you a something to prove character, like Aurea is a something to prove character to me. Like she's striving to prove herself.
Hmm.
Kairini is actually not. She's like, this is what you fucking get. It's me. She acts before she thinks, but doesn't regret it. Um, she's just she's very bold, and she's had a very tough life. She's a bounty hunter. She is just very intense and very fun. She's very fun.
Who did you pull inspirations from for her character?
That's a great question. I actually don't know. I don't know if I pulled from any particular, people or characters. A lot of times it's about contrast to me. Like I said, I don't like to feel like I'm writing the same thing over and over again. So a lot of it is like, um, when I build characters, I often sculpt them kind of in relation to who is around them. And I knew I was thinking of like, who would be a fun foil for Septimus, who is this very like, he's very, this man's been pulling the strings for like 6 books now in all kinds of ways. He is very like controlled and collected, and he's got everything under
Cunning.
control all the
Hmm.
time. So I was like, what if I just like launched a stick of dynamite like at him?
How would he handle that? I'm so excited for that one. So we've got The Lion and the Deathless Dark coming in August of next year, and you're just getting started on book two. No name has been announced, no title, no nothing. Do you feel like you've got flexibility and room for this, or is there like a feeling of a looming deadline?
There's definitely a feeling of looming deadline.
Right.
um, yeah, I have. It's been I've had a lot of intense deadlines the last few years. This one actually, I have more breathing room. Thankfully, it's almost like we were kind of on a treadmill that was like going a notch too fast, and we were kind of like catching up. And now we're at a pace where it's like, okay, we're doing pretty good. Like the experience of writing Lion was actually a perfectly comfortable writing experience for me. The editing experience was like great. Um, it was a really, I mean, of course, there were definitely times, don't get me wrong, when I was like calling my husband and being like, oh my God, I'll never write another book again. This book sucks, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's going to hate it. But overall, it was a really fun, kind of relaxed writing experience. This one, it's, it's a lot of pressure, you know? I mean, this is the culmination of 8 books.
Yeah, wow. Wow. How do you
Yeah,
feel about like having to say goodbye?
I know. That's also tough. That's
Yeah.
also tough. So I'm also, my next thing right after I finish my copy edits, which I'm finishing up this week, is I'll be working on my proposal for my next series that's coming after this.
Goodness.
Um, and that'll be fun. It'll be kind of fun to like think about something else because I'm finding outlining the final book to be quite stressful.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the idea this series has changed my life so dramatically, and it's kind of crazy sometimes to think about. I mean, I wrote The Serpent and the Wings of Night about 3 years ago.
That's
Um,
nuts.
it's nuts. That's wild. Like how so much has happened in 3 years.
And well, I mean, I feel like your writing style really suits going all in because when you have your idea, it's almost like a hyperfixation for you. You're like, I am living and breathing only this, and I'm going to see it all the way through until I'm done. And then it's the next thing that you'll go all in on. Um, are you overwhelmed just by the volume of the books that you've been getting through?
I am. So what you describe is definitely how I work. I'm kind of envious sometimes of my author friends who, I mean, everyone has different brains and different working styles, so not envious because we all work differently. Um, but I have author friends who are like, I'll work a little bit on this book and a little bit on this book and a little bit on this book. I have written two books at the same time before, and it actually worked out great at the time. I wrote Ashes, the second Nyaxia book, and Slaying the Vampire Conqueror at the same time.
Oh wow.
And what I did, this was before I was pregnant actually, and that's part of why I was crunching so hard because I was going to have a baby. So I was like, I gotta finish.
Wow.
And what I would do is I would go to one coffee shop in the morning and I would write there from like 7 to like 1. And then I would go home and I would eat lunch. And then I would go to a different coffee shop and I would work there from like, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock on the other book. So
Whoa.
yeah.
So
And it
you
was
quit
actually,
your marketing job to start pulling 11, 12-hour writing shift days.
oh, I used to work all the time. My days were so much longer. I mean, it's I can't do that anymore, obviously, because I have a child. So my work days are pretty tight, 9 to 3s. But yeah, I used to work pretty much 7 to 7
Wow.
before that, which I didn't mind, and I usually would not work on weekends. Because my husband also worked a lot and everything, it worked out okay. And working on the two books was actually nice because what I learned about myself was that it's like two separate wells. And that was also nice because kind of like the situation I'm in right now, very similar situation actually. Ashes was very stressful for me to write because it felt like a lot of pressure
Mm.
because Serpent was like taking off, at that time. And um, I learned that like my mental well for slaying was like completely separate. So I could work on Ashes for 5 hours in the morning and have like the most miserable, terrible writing day. And then I could take a break, go to my other coffee shop and work on the other book and have like an amazing writing day. Like, or I could go do, 4,000 words on this book and be like totally beat. Like, okay, I cannot write any more of this book. But then it turns out I can bust out 3,000 words of the other book, like no problem. It's like a
Wow.
completely separate brain.
That's impressive. Are
It
you?
was,
Oh,
it was
sorry.
fun.
Fun, she says.
It was. I look forward to like in 10 years maybe being able to do that again.
Okay, reasonable goals.
Hmm.
I did a little poking around with another idea you had forming, and now that you've mentioned you're putting it in for the proposal, is the idea that is slightly more sci-fi the one that you went with?
Oh wow, you do your research, huh? Um, it is a bit sci-fi. It's a bit
It is this
sci-fi.
idea? So
Yeah,
this has been going around for a little over a year now.
kind of. It's definitely evolved a lot. So kind of like I said earlier, my brain, I am very much like in what I'm working on. So I don't really have like other ideas percolating in like a very tangible way. But then it'll be like I sit down and I'm like, okay, time to have an idea. Which actually, I never actually answered your other question. That's kind of how Six Scorched Roses happened, where I was like, I had a contractual obligation for an anthology, and I really did sit down and I was like, okay, I need a novella. What should I write? And then I just wrote it in like 3 weeks, like 2.5 weeks or something.
Whoa.
Um, and I thought nobody was going to like it. I wrote it just for me because I was like, I need to write something. I need a novella. People are not going to like this coming out of like, because you're right, it was very tonally different.
Yeah.
But I never mind it because sometimes my best ideas come from that. So a few weeks ago, or gosh, this was actually the summer. This year has flown by. It was not a few weeks ago. I sat down during kind of a lull between edit passes and was like, okay, time to come up with a new idea. And I just kind of like took these vibes that were kind of floating around in my head. And I'm really excited about it. It's very different, but I'm
Okay.
excited.
Okay. I will say something that was refreshing about Six Scorched Roses was the characters are Lilith and Vale, and my mind immediately hears a name like Lilith, and I find the default is evil. Like Lilith is usually like the spider queen, goddess, intrinsically evil. She's the
Hmm.
sweetest thing. She's just a little scientist.
She's a little scientist and she's 30. She's
Yes.
basically an old lady compared to all of the other little romanticy girlies who are all 19 years old. I can't write about 19-year-olds. I just can't. They're just children to me. Like I'm done.
I know when we were like younger reading about 19-year-olds, it's like you're an adult at 19, and now it's like they're a
Mm-mm.
child. Like when are
I
we
know.
justice for
This
like
is
the 30 somethings out here just like trying to live vicariously through words.
I know. Next time I write like a human male romantic lead, the guy is gonna be like in his late 30s, early 40s. Like I can't be attracted to 20 somethings anymore. Like it's just not in me.
I know. Well, I mean, like as you, the author, grows, obviously, like everything else grows alongside with it too. So that makes
Right.
perfect sense. When does the proposal need to go in? Like, what's the timeline looking like for everything? If the Lion and the Deathless Dark is coming out August next year, book two of that will be the following year, knowing that you're a book a year.
Ideally, that would be the plan.
So we're talking
Um,
about 2028, this proposal.
I when I say that like this is like not a thing that exists, like if my publisher is listening to this right now, like they
No,
haven't
no,
seen
no, they're
this, they
not.
haven't talked about this, like this is like totally not.
Oops.
Yeah, so this they're probably I'm gonna get an email being like, "Hey, Carissa."
You need to just no.
No, I don't think. I mean, big surprise, I'm working on a thing. Like this is not a surprise to anybody. This is not a secret or anything. But yeah, knowing the way that publishing worked, which is kind of funny to me because when I was independently published, it's amazing how like things move so fast. A book is done, you press a button, and 24 to 48 hours later, there it is. It's in the world. So it's almost kind of refreshing. It's also stressful, but it's kind of because you're like crunching, 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 crunching. You finish it, and then it's
It's
out, and then
done.
everyone's excited to see it and everything. So it's like you go straight from like the crunch, crunch to like everybody basking in it, being excited about it, and like, yay, it's out, release celebration. But now it's like, like I finished Lion like in July. So it's like, and you're like, okay, time to wait like a year and a half to talk about it.
Mm.
So it is kind of interesting. You're probably right. 2028 sounds ridiculous, but it's very much not. That probably will be roughly about what it ends up being.
I was talking to Brandon Sanderson, and he gave me his timeline up until like 2036, 2052. Like he's mapped out everything. And
I
I,
I
I,
love you being able to casually say I was talking to Brandon Sanderson. That's
oh,
great. Good for you.
hey, I only interview the best. Thank you, Carissa.
I am honored. I am honored
You
to
do.
be among them.
You are. You do talk about going from being an independent publisher to being a published author. What was your oh my God, I made it moment? Was it the fact that you could quit your marketing job, or was it the fact that you saw fan art of your characters online?
You do your research. It was the fan art. To this day, it is still, I still think there is no moment that had made me as excited as the first time that I saw fan art of my characters. Um, that was a big, and then another big one was the first time I was in, and we're friends now, we're friendly now, so this is not like that weird for me to say. The first time I was like invited into like a group promotion, sale. Like these were not that big of a deal, but like authors do these all the time. And I was in a group chat with Elise Kova, who is a fellow romantasy writer who I had been a big fan of, at the time. And I remember being like I was shaking, like I was picking up Indian food, and I was like my hands were like shaking as I was like getting the takeout containers.
Well, going
It's
from
yeah
like
to
a
this
fan to a peer,
yes
like
yes.
huge.
I know. And then I was getting drinks with her earlier this year, and I was like, this, to me a few years ago, this would have been completely absurd to me.
Wow.
And I still think to this day, there's something really special about like early career because those things are so, like now it's like you can say it and people are like, whatever. But those things were such a big deal to me, at the time. And all of those even small things just feel astronomical. And it's a really special feeling.
And this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, where it's like we can't lose that feeling. We can't get
Yeah.
numb to these moments because it is magical completely. I've got time for one last question, and I want that to be I ask a question because I'm a nerd, and you've confessed to being a little bit nerdy as well. I
Mhm.
know maybe you don't have time for it, but I do ask what your power is. And power is an acronym. What are you playing? What are you watching? And what are you reading?
What am I playing? What am I watching? What am I reading? Okay. I actually have answers to all these things. Playing. So I recently bought, and I am evangelizing so hard. I bought a Steam Deck recently.
Is it worth it?
It's so worth it. It's so worth it. This has changed my life. I had to like because I was never a handheld person. Like I kind of actually disliked handhelds. I very much was a console gamer. And then I just had to come to the conclusion I have a 2 year old. I am a long way away from being able to like sit on the couch for hours, like playing Expedition 33, even though I really want to play it. So I bought a Steam Deck and it's the best because it's like I play 15 minutes here, excuse me, 15 minutes there, like in bed after my son goes to sleep or whatever. And I'm playing right now My Time at Sandrock.
Oh, I know those.
I,
Yeah.
you're familiar
Like
with it?
Portlandia as well. Like there's a that kind of thing. Sandrock, and
Uh,
there's a secondary one too.
the first one is My Time at Portia, which I have not
Portia.
played.
Oh, that's where I
Yes.
started. Mm.
I play My Time at Sandrock, which I hear that there's been a lot of quality of life improvements. But yeah, it's like kind of like a crafting farming sim. But what I like about it is that it has a really kind of involved story. Um, and it's got a little bit more edge to it, and like the characters are really good. So I'm playing that and I'm loving it.
I do have a
Um,
game recommendation because it sounds like you are a Stardew Valley fiend, like I am, and I've gotten many an hour into that one. Horseradish Jam is my favorite song. Anyway, there is a couple of spins on that which are whimsical, and I know you're a bit whimsical. And so Fields of Mystria is like, do you know that one? It's like Stardew
I've
Valley,
heard of it.
but it's like fantasy fae. You're welcome.
Okay,
Yep.
that sounds fun.
Yep. And there's another one, I think it's called Traveller's Inn. So it's like Stardew Valley, but you run a tavern.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Just
I
throwing
had
that
some
out there.
issues with I played Stardew Valley for a while and I had issues with it. First of all, no shade at all to like this I know it is what it is. I had a hard time with the graphical style.
Mm,
And
hmm.
I also like I want the people I romance to be hotter, Like
I'm
that was
the
an issue for
same
me.
thing. I'm like, this is what I have to work with.
Yeah,
Are you
I was
kidding me?
like, this
I'm
is what
running
I
a
have to
farm.
work with. And I wanted a little bit more like plot, which I understand. Like, this is not like criticism of Stardew Valley. It's just like a genre thing.
Hmm.
So that is why
Then you'll love
Sandrock
Fields
is
of
like,
Mystria because they've really
okay,
fleshed out the characters and quite a few of them are really hot.
see, this sounds great to me. All
Yeah, I
right, I'm
got
going to
you.
pick that up.
Okay.
Amazing.
Hmm.
But yes, highly recommend a Steam Deck. It's been amazing. It's like such a great device. And it's like, especially for people who like don't have a lot of time or if you want to like sit in bed because you're tired and old like me, it's amazing.
Please, please don't
Okay,
say
wait,
I'm old.
what were the other things?
Watching and reading.
Okay, watching and reading. Watching. I'm watching Pluribus. I am. Are you watching it?
I haven't gotten started yet, but I'm currently like I haven't had spoilers.
Okay. Um, it's really good. I mean, I knew
Okay.
it was going to be good because it's Vince Gilligan. So,
Yeah.
it's really good. I am one episode behind as we currently speak.
Hmm.
So that is what I'm watching. And then reading, I just started. I'm way behind because I really loved the first one. Um, and I'm having a brain fart, so you're gonna have to fact check me.
Okay.
I'm reading the second Empire of the Vampire book by Jay Kristoff.
Oh, Jake Christoph is
Empire,
an Australian author.
yeah, Empire of the
Uh,
Dawn. Is Dawn the third one or is Dawn the second? I'm reading the second
Damned.
one.
Empire of
Damned.
the Damned, by Jake
Yes,
Christoph, the Empire of the Vampire series, and there's only three in those ones, so you're doing okay.
I'm doing okay. I the third one just came out like a month ago or something like that. And I really loved the first one, so it's actually I shouldn't have taken a year to pick up the second one, but
So you recommend it for the book club?
I do. I really like it. I really loved the first one. He's got like he just like knows how to do a really good third act.
Oh,
Like they're always
okay.
like a twisty wild ride, but they're also and this is not a criticism. His books are very long, which is part of why I had not picked up the second one because I was like, okay, I've got to like, be mentally prepared
Prepare
for a
for it.
200,000
Yes.
word book. But yeah, I'm excited. I just started it, but I know I'm gonna like it. I know I am.
Oh, well, when I get Jay Christoph on the show, I'm going to tell him on your behalf that you're a big fan.
Please do, because here's what keeps happening, and I'm willing to say this publicly, because I have been a fan of his books for quite a while at this point, and I keep going to places and like his release is like kind of close to mine or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, you would have been a great conversation partner for Jay Kristoff," and I'm like, "Yes, I would have." Like
Who do
we
I
keep
need to
missing
talk
each
to?
other. We keep missing each other by like a few weeks, and then being like, "Oh, Jay Kristoff's going to be here next week. It's a shame. You would have been a good conversation partner." I'm like, damn, yes, I would have.
Okay, we need to put this out in the universe and make it happen. I'll see what I can do behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, one day, if you get him on the show, just tell him there's this girl and she's a creepy stalker or something.
I
And
will paint
if
you
see
in
her
much
run the
better
other
light
way,
than that. No. You guys have vampires in common. How's that?
we do. That's why they say it. That's why they're like, oh, you guys are both vampires. And I'm like, yeah, we are. We're both vampires.
It's right there. Thank you so much for spending an hour chatting with me. I could have done another hour. You're so wonderful and fantastic. A reminder that we do have a book that is brand new out today with the new hardback cover. Please pick it up, Children of the Fallen Gods. It is part of the War and Lost Hearts trilogy. Make sure you get that one. We're going to get the third book. Is that next year? That one's going to be
In
re-released?
March.
March.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
just
for my birthday,
3 months
you sweet
apart.
thing. Love that one. So pick up that one. Crowns of Nyaxia. We've got The Lion and the Deathless Dark coming August next year. One more book out for that one afterwards as well. What a fantastic run. Love chatting with you. Like I said, and I've said it to your face again, you're my Insta-buy author. If you write it, I will read it. And I absolutely love the worlds that you bring to life. So thank you so much, Carissa. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun on here. So thank you for having me.
Anytime. Join Maud's Book Club, everyone. See you over in the Discord.